Another episode of Allen Pridecast. Going a different direction this time. I have Ryan Bilderback with us. How's it going?
It's going great, Vince.
He's currently up until August of 2020. He is the director of student life. He has been the director of student life since 2011, excuse me. He started here in 2007. I just left when you came on. I left in August of 2007. You got here in August of 2007.
Right.
And then I came back in August of 2011, which is when you started director.
I transitioned.
Yeah, transitioned there.
I didn't realize that.
So, we want to focus on 2011, your first year as director of student life. How prepared were you, or did you know what you were in store for, and what was the biggest day-to-day challenge? Because I'm sure the day-to-day challenge was interesting.
It was, and was I prepared? Not really. Did I think I was prepared? Absolutely. You remember Jason Kegler, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So he was in the position before I took over in 11. And basically, I met with him maybe 2 or 3 times before he left during the transition time. And basically what he told me is just be prepared for anything.
Oh, I bet.
Anything and everything.
Now, is there a HIPAA law that you have to follow, or if you ever want to write a book, do you get a...
No, I'm between my time at mental health. I was at mental health before I came to the college, and then my time at the college. One of these days, I'm going to sit down and write a book. Absolutely,
that'd be great. That'd be great.
That would be interesting. But I was not in any way, shape, or form prepared for the job, for the intensity, the hours of the job. It's a great job.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's a
next
fun
person
job.
who hires.
Yes.
Don't watch this.
No, it's a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot about yourself in a very short period of time. You'll learn a lot about one of my favorite topics, leadership, in a very short period of time. But the best part of the job to me is, and I was not prepared for this when I started, was being able to have your hands in so many different facets of the college.
Yeah.
You're involved. You're involved in academics to a certain extent, facilities and maintenance, the student center, which we'll talk about. Athletics is a big one, obviously.
Yeah, huge.
So every part of the college that you can be involved in, you're involved in, and you're on interview committees, and you're on faculty interview committees, and working within student services. And so that part of it, I really became really enjoyed and got more used to it.
Does it keep you from being bored because you're able to do something completely different?
Yes. So so many people, and I'm sure a lot of people like it. They go to work and do the same thing every day, literally every day. And if that's what they like, that's great. But if you're in this job or the director of student life here at Allen, every day is going to be different. There's going to be positives. There's going to be negatives. Those are going to be different every day. The challenges you're going to face are going to be different every day. You're going to run across a different student that you may not have visited with before, may not have talked, got to know from a different country, different culture. We're a small campus, but we're a very diverse campus for small as
very
well.
Very much.
So another good part about being the director of student life is you get to learn about those students and help them transition here to the States, which is not easy for them coming to rural Southeast Kansas.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. It seems like you don't want to focus on I know we joke about the bad. I know that a lot of good comes out about that. It seems like you're able to sometimes change the perception of what someone thinks of middle Kansas, of nowhere, from other states. You're able to get to know individuals, and you could have, I understand you could have a great day. Everything went well. You made it home. And then at 10:30, 11 o'clock, you get a call from the dorms. Got to come up here for something.
It happens.
I know it doesn't happen as much as it gets magnified when it does happen, but there's a lot of good that can come about that as well. And that to me it just seems you have the right mindset. I know we're going to talk about some leadership and leadership styles. And I definitely believe with everything that's going on now, which I'm not going to get into, I want to make it a positive and fun. You are utilizing the same leadership styles. You can't go into it if you go into an aggressor, or different leadership styles have to come into play, I guess. Yes. I'm assuming is what I'm getting at.
Absolutely. And when we're working on the principles of leadership class right now, and I'm going through and starting the planning process so I can teach that class in the fall, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
It's kind of an introductory leadership class, and within that class, a lot of that is obviously describing the different types of leadership styles.
Yeah.
And helping students understand that, yeah, you may have and probably do have a leadership style that you use more often or that you see as kind of dominant.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like the word dominant,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
And but it's okay to be able to, and you have to, and part of being a leader is being able to identify different situations require different types of leading. There may be a situation where you need to be very almost aggressive and telling people directly what to do, more authoritarian type stuff. And then there's times when you're very much a democratic type leader where you're listening and getting feedback from people and down working directly with the people. And it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
And this job is a prime example of that. I may have a situation during the day where I have a student in my office that's needing guidance about something. So I'm listening to them, I'm getting feedback from them, and then from that feedback, I'm giving them feedback.
Yeah.
And that interaction. 10 o'clock at night, I get a phone call from the police. We have a student that's having an issue or whatever, which doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to give the perception here.
But life,
happen, but life happens for everybody.
Murphy's
life
Law.
For students.
Anything. Murphy's Law, I'm assuming, comes into play as a student life director too.
So if I get that situation and the police are involved and there's a discipline issue, I may need to be that more. This is what needs to be done. This is how it needs to be done. And you have to realize what situation you're in and be able to apply that leadership style. And that's what I hope. And we'll talk more about the classes and stuff before long, but that's what I hope to convey to students, and what I hope I've conveyed to them throughout the last 9 years in student life.
And I talk to my wife about this all the time. I've had so much respect for you. This is not just saying it just to say it. I really have. And I joke about this. I always tell her, I go, if I had an angel on my right shoulder, it'd be Ryan Bilderback. Obviously, I don't listen to the angel as much as I probably should. How naive do students think you were when they were trying to get one over on you, as if they assumed this was your first rodeo?
That's a great question. I'm thinking, I have a flood of memories coming back into my head now of different students talking their way in or out of trouble. I can think of, some of the students get really, really creative. And I don't know if you remember, real quick story here, Yik Yak.
Yeah,
an app.
Yes, I didn't use it.
Old school.
I didn't use it.
Yeah, no, of course not.
Never stirred the pot.
But anyway, students would use that and they would have codes within it to, saying where a party was or whatever and blah, 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 blah. Well, of course, us as residence hall staff got wind of that and got that figured out, and we'd try to bust up parties using that and different things. And one of my favorite things, and I don't know obviously who the student was that said it, but we busted up a party and we got wind of it off of Yik Yak. Somehow we deciphered it, and the kids put stuff on social media and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so after we busted up the party, one of the kids posted on Yik Yak, well, Bilderback was just mad because we didn't invite him to the party.
That's funny.
That type of stuff from students, I really got a kick out of, because some of the students had the best sense of humors.
Oh yeah.
They would have a good sense of humor about it and understand that, we have to have rules on campus and blah, 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 blah. And then you would get the students that were the polar opposite of that I'm bigger and better than everybody else and rules don't apply to me, and you just couldn't.
No.
It was painful because you tried to help them understand.
It's not how life works.
That your world's gonna get rocked when you get in the real world.
When you start adulting and get into the real adult world, you can't do that at all.
So was I? Yes, some of the students thought I was pretty naive, awesome. And probably when I was starting out, I was naive a little bit, but as time and situations present themselves, you get a little bit more, able to understand and look students in the eye and be able to decipher exactly whether or not they're being truthful with you or not.
Yeah. the memes that would come out on, so because you'd have a student or two, and you would know when they left because the account on Twitter or whatever it was would just leave or stop. Some of the memes they'd come up with would just that's the funny part about this generation of society, because I love a good meme. I love, even if it's about myself, or I like to laugh at situations, and I think it's the only way you can is laugh at it. So that's pretty good about the TikTok. I forgot about TikTok. TikTok that came and went.
It did. It wasn't around
TikTok.
long.
Yeah, Yik Yak. I said TikTok, didn't I?
Yeah, you said Yik Yak. It wasn't around long.
No, it wasn't. Well, because obviously you could say whatever you wanted, and it definitely didn't have a long lifespan.
Yeah.
So you've been here, Student Life, 2011. You were part of the original student union.
Yeah.
Okay, so
if you could call it that.
Yeah, if you can call it that. Yeah, no, I know. That to me, and I say this with utmost respect, it was an eyesore, because when you're recruiting kids from out of state, or you're recruiting kids, and I know for you, you want to keep them active. When they're not busy with doing something, they're going to find something. I know how I was in college. I'm not going to tell my glory stories, but I know when I was bored, I would, let's go do this. Let's make some fun.
Right.
Luckily, social media wasn't involved. I'd be in trouble.
Right.
But they came, that $6 million student center. Most individuals who work in a department don't get the opportunity to be on the ground floor of that. No. How was that for you?
It was amazing. The support from the administration, as far as putting, they put. We were planning for upwards of 2.5 years on that facility, and it turned out amazing.
No flaws.
Yeah, the students love it. I love it. The coaches love it. It's a huge recruiting tool for us. But the administration went into it open-minded.
That's good.
Like we know it's time to build this. We need to get it done. Mm-hmm. We have the money to do it. We want to do it right. We don't want to skimp. We want to get feedback from. We got feedback from students through Student Senate.
Wow.
Myself, we went and looked at other student centers in the state. It was phenomenal how much work we did before we even got to the point where we were designing it and organizing it. And the architects and Lloyd Builders and everybody that helped with the process, it was, knock on wood, it just was smooth. I don't know how else to put it.
How often did you see me eating lunch before that?
I don't.
You
recall.
never, ever. Yeah. And they changed. Obviously, they changed. Too soon? No, too soon. Never too soon.
That's all right.
No, but going over there, and it was cool. I'm terrible at ping pong, but you see students and faculty and interacting, and that was great. And then I'd play pool, and I'd try to run the table, and I have lunch. I'm gonna do a 30-minute lunch. Ends up being an hour, hour and a half, and I'm like, I gotta go back to work. It was fun to just interact.
That was really one thing that kind of
you weren't expecting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see faculty members playing pool with students.
You would have told me I never.
That's great. To have that interaction outside of the classroom. So our hope was, and I think we got pretty close to this, was to be able to have the facility serve multiple purposes.
You guys, who else comes in there? There's a lot of other groups that come in and utilize it.
Community groups use the facility all the time. Rotary, Kiwanis, many different facilities.
Community college for the community.
Exactly. And it's convenient for them with the dining hall being right there and the rooms, the meeting rooms and whatnot. But our hope was for the facility and the room and the space to be flexible. And I'll tell you, the part of it that is used more than I anticipated is the study rooms.
Yeah.
There's full. There's 4 of them, obviously. They're full all the time.
And if I'm like when I was putting the region meet on, I had to take myself away from here and go in there to plan everything, and hopefully had my back to people. No one bothered me. No one, right. I wanted to isolate myself. Usually I would go hide in the upstairs library, but with here, I had plugins. I had the internet access. I had things that I didn't really get up in the library where I was always hiding at.
It's a great facility.
It's great. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
Absolutely. Kudos.
Thank you. Thank you, John
Yes.
Masterson, the board,
Yes.
everyone involved in that, because that was much needed.
Much needed, and well done.
Yeah. Well, this is a different year. You're going out of style. You know, you want to have a Derek Jeter, walk off of your career as student life.
Oh, wow.
But
yeah.
I laughed because at first I was like, man, Ryan ends like this. But hindsight, the end of the year when all the sports are possibly out, there's their finals. They know they're either they're gone. It gets a little antsy, a little crazier.
A little bit.
You didn't have to. So hindsight, you didn't have to really fully deal with that. But the coronavirus, probably the most unique, the most unique thing that student life directors on every campus had to go through. That. How big of a mess was it? You're forcing, not I say forcing, you're requiring students to move back early. How did you handle? How did it affect you? What was that like?
Well, we had, obviously meeting. This all obviously hit at spring break for us.
Timing was okay.
It was okay. Yeah. It could have been, it was okay. There's never a good time for something like this to happen, but it was okay. So we just got together, and fortunately we had good leadership and to make the decisions and make the thing that was interesting. Things were changing so rapidly.
Yeah. So each day.
We were sending information, and I felt horrible about this. We were sending information out to parents and students, and literally hours after we would get that information out to them, something would change.
It's like red light, green light.
It was just horrible. And the students were champs with it. They really were. I was really, really impressed with the students and how they handled it, as far as coming back, getting their stuff in an orderly, because we didn't do a traditional checkout.
No.
We didn't.
You couldn't.
We couldn't. We couldn't make sure that their rooms were clean. We didn't collect keys. We didn't we didn't go through the rooms as they were moving out as we would typically. We couldn't do all that at that time because of obviously the virus.
I hadn't thought about the keys thing. There's a lot of keys out there.
So we had, we had to get creative.
Yeah.
And the students had to get creative and resourceful. And sometimes, unfortunately, you have to do that. But I tell you, the best thing that came out of it was, for me, was being able to see how our leadership got together, acknowledge that there was this issue, this invisible issue, which makes it even weirder and more difficult. It's this kind of, you hear,
media,
New York is getting hammered with this, and it's in the cities, big cities, and well, is it going to come to Kansas and little old Iola, and then all these schools started closing, and then the governor closed K through 12, and it started getting more and more serious, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And to be able to get together with the administration and be included in that meant a lot to me. And being able to help them deal with those and come up with solutions, because obviously, the classrooms and transitioning to online was massive, huge undertaking.
Yeah,
huge undertaking. To accomplish that in the period of time that they did was nothing short of amazing. Then you got residence halls, getting people out of the residence halls, international students. We had students that were on spring break in Florida, Miami specifically. There was a big hot spot at that time. We had to get them stopped from coming back to campus and get them on their way back home, wherever home was. So, there were a lot of wheels turning there. And we as a college, I felt, not just the administration, but even the coaches, AD, coaches, everybody came together. And was it perfect? Did it go perfectly? No. Considering the circumstances,
things were changing
pretty smoothly.
Every day things were changing, and there was times where you have kids who their parents took days off to drive up to move them in and have all that stuff that many miles away. Well, we got coaches, myself, climbing, risking life and limb from the spiders and through the heat in the shed, getting books for the bookstore, and don't get me wrong, I do that. There was no spiders. I'm kicking everything around beforehand and spraying. But no, you had coaches, hey, I need these books, the bookstore. And even, took it student by student by student by student.
Yep.
And that's, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And I think the big reason for that was the coordination and the teamwork that all went into that. because it could have been bad. It could have been rough.
I heard some
And-
stories from other colleges, and I had some, my daughter, her friends who are at K-State, and some of the stories, I'm like, that's,
That's crazy.
yeah, I definitely, it's going to be interesting moving forward, but obviously with everyone, life goes on.
It does.
Got to adapt.
Pre and post Corona.
Oh, geez. Yeah. The social distancing thing cracked me up because I was always avoiding people anyways, unless I needed to come out of underneath my rock out of the ground. So I was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Becoming a teacher wasn't the fun. A second grade teacher, I was great for the first about 2 to 3 days. I was hardcore. You're doing this, had the worksheets and everything, and I burnt myself out. And then it became like, I was like, let's go play. Let's play outside. Let's go do something else.
Right. I would gather a lot of parents had that. Had that same experience.
It was great at first, but then I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be a second grade teacher.
Yeah, right.
I'm not getting paid.
Right.
Like, can we file a stipend? I need some help over here.
Teaching second grade, I'm sure, is a tremendous challenge.
It was rough those days. Those days getting up, it was tough. No. Oh, what? Looking back on it, obviously the highs and lows. What is the favorite part about your job? And I'm sure you're eventually going to sit down and maybe have a memoir.
Yeah.
And what was the least favorite?
I would say my favorite part is the interaction I have with the students on a daily basis. I mean, other than maybe coaches, I interact with more students than most people on our campus.
Oh, easily.
On a daily basis.
Yeah.
And the friendships that I develop with the students, I'd say probably was my favorite part because you think back to how many students you came in contact with over a 9-year period.
300 times 9 at least.
Yeah, that's
and
a lot of
it's
students.
a lot of people, a lot of students. That's why whenever you said yes, I was like, yes. I was excited because I know, I don't want to say you're a man of mystery, but you still did right by the students. Do right by the students.
Yeah.
And that was something I always loved and I admired about you. So I know when people see, Ryan's on there, I want to listen to this.
I appreciate that.
So I was excited when you said yes.
So with my least favorite,
Getting the calls at midnight to come, no.
well, I mean, honestly, I would have to say one of the most challenging, I guess I could answer, is just the hours. There's a lot. It's very time consuming, but that going in.
Yeah.
So if you're not comfortable with that,
Don't say yes.
don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful job, but I think discipline meetings with students. Now I say that, but some of my favorite interactions with students has been during that. I mean, it sounds weird saying that a student gets in trouble on campus, they come in and meet with me, and we have, we talk about what they did and the discipline for it and the consequences and blah 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 blah. But I've had some of the best conversations with students during those meetings and some of the worst.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're stripping back the layers. You're getting a chance to hey, they don't know their actions. We don't ever see our actions until it affects us or other things. So if you're able to get them to, hey, this is what you were doing that was wrong.
Yeah.
This is why you're disciplined. They can learn the behavior and change and move and grow. I guess they're able to help them grow as an adult.
That and this as a coach, that's what you're trying to do. Sure, you want to be successful in your sport or running or whatever it is, but you want to help these people grow and become. They're going to eventually be hopefully contributing to society.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we have a small part in that, whether it's helping them learn leadership skills or coping skills or social skills or whatever, then that's very, fulfilling. Working in education is being able to help create people that are going to contribute to society, you hope.
And that's kind of where moving to the next one, the new job that you're taking on.
Yeah.
We've already kind of reflect on the 9 years and you gave us some good stuff. How excited are you about in leadership classes, teaching? What can you bring to the students?
Well, what I hope to bring to the students is someone that, even though I'll be, a new teacher, so there'll be some learning curve on my part, so to speak. But what I hope I can bring to the students is some real world experience for them. You know, I've been in a leadership position ever since I graduated college, so almost 20 some years now. And I've been privileged enough to have positions where I had some authority, a lot of responsibility, some power.
Yeah.
So being able to manage that and be able to work with people, because a huge part of leadership, and I hope to can be able to convey this to students through the courses, is being able to work with people and manage people.
Yeah.
If you can't work with people and manage people, the world's going to be against you in a lot of ways.
It's going to be tough.
You know, and I realize the world now, even compared to 5 years ago, is a lot different as far as sitting down and having a face-to-face interaction with another person.
Yeah.
The world's a lot different in that sense now.
It doesn't go on a lot now,
right?
Because you can have a complete conversation with somebody without seeing them face to face, maybe on the computer screen now or through the text message.
Right.
And you lose a lot with that.
Yes, you do. And I really think through those changes that a lot of people have lost the ability to sit down and have a conversation with someone face to face and interact with them and learn by their body positioning and their body language about them and what they're telling you.
Yeah.
That's kind of lost art, so to speak.
I agree.
And that's really interesting if you think about, so you have a leadership class. What do you try to convey to them? Well, you try to convey to them that not everybody's born to be a leader.
No.
Now, there's people that are born with skills that makes it easier for them to become a leader. But everybody has the capability of learning about leadership and growing. Even if you don't want to be someone that is, quote unquote, a leader, we still need lots of followers.
Yeah.
And those followers need to support these leaders. So even through the leadership courses, if you're thinking, well, I don't really know about taking a leadership course, I don't like being in front of people and leading people and being
you can be a leader as a follower.
Yes,
because
exactly.
That follower, look at all the work he's doing.
Yes.
I want to follow that guy who's essentially leading by following.
So I'm hoping that to convey, working with people and being able to manage people is important. Even if you don't feel comfortable being a leader, so to speak, the world needs followers. There's a lot of good followers out there that support leaders, that make leaders look good, that even those followers eventually get to the point where they get more comfortable and want to start leading in a different way. I mean, being a leader means a million different things. Plain and simple.
It's funny. I joined a fraternity my junior year in college when I transferred into a 4-year, and I did it for the social party and whatever, that I thought it was. When I got in it, it actually opened me up. I ended up becoming a student ambassador, which I was obviously social chair, but I ended up being, we had some great social gatherings. We had actually a lot of good ones and, fun ones, if you get what I'm saying. But that being thrust into that leadership role, I became president. And I was like, what? Yeah. But it thrusted me into a role I never thought I was going to be a part of. And then look at my career. All right, student ambassador, recruitment chair, now I'm recruiting. Now I'm as a coach. So for me, I didn't take a leadership class. I wish I would have, knowing what I know now, but it made me a better adult in terms of a career. Yes. And that's something that you don't realize until you get into college and take those classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty amazing if you think about that evolution that you just talked about, you personally, and how many doors that's opened up for you with you becoming more comfortable in that role and being able to show those traits, that how much that's grown and how many opportunities that's given to you as a person.
It's caused, like, a PE major. I'm not a communications. I'm not this whole setup and everything. But the funny thing is, when I was social chair, at the end of the year, I would take all of our pictures that were digital. They got put into digital. I'd make, I don't say a highlight, but I would make music videos with editing software, and we'd watch it. And it was fun I enjoyed seeing other people's reaction to the memories. Right. And I loved that. And they'd make fun of me all the time for taking the pictures and being that guy with the camera. But at the end of the year, they're like, okay, that was really cool. Yes. And I loved that. And that obviously now 15, or I guess it's 20, I don't know, I've lost count. Many years later, I want to do something like this, and it's just because I enjoy that. I enjoyed making people, hey, that's kind of a cool thing. That's cool, and maybe it might, I don't want to say inspire them, but they might say, hey, that's not that. How'd you do that?
Right.
Right. So the new direction of your career, kind of talked on some of the goals you have. What are some of the goals you have for next year? And I know your experience with Future Students. What things do you have, planned?
Well, we want to obviously continue to grow the leadership program here at the college, and we're in the process of developing some new courses to be added as we go through the semesters, and we're looking at the sequence of the courses right now, whether that be civic leadership, organizational leadership, which is what specifically my degree is in, is organizational leadership, and being able to continue to grow the program. And what I mean, grow it in the classroom by obviously having students in the seats, but also at the same time, there's an internship program through the Leadership Studies program that gives students the opportunity to go out in the community and have real world experience. And you can sit in a classroom and obviously I'm a big proponent and believe in the classroom setting and theory and going through case studies and having the classroom part of leadership. That's obviously huge, but a big part of growing as a person and as a leader is getting out and leading. Yeah. And having those experiences and failing.
Oh yeah.
And learning from failure. Derek Jeter always said, one of my favorite things that Derek Jeter always talked about was how much you have to learn from failing.
It's
don't
humbling.
Be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's incredibly humbling, but you can learn so much from failing and grow as a person from failing.
You also learn a lot about a person. I always have a quote that I repeat. I have multiple quotes with my athletes. I go, you're only as good or as bad as your last race.
Right.
And as a coach, you are as well. And another one I will say, you got to run bad to appreciate running good.
That's true.
You do.
Like
you got to run. Yeah. So in life, you have, my wife has, kind of ties on my wife always said, if you love somebody at their best, you got to love them at their worst. Mm-hmm. You can't just pull the trophy out as it shines. So I enjoy the coaching part of that is, hey, you know what? I'd rather you try to fail. Like I've failed a lot, and every year I have a science experiment. Coaching is essentially just a science experiment.
Yep.
And I think I was blessed with early success when I was at Cali when we won the national title. I didn't realize what I had because it happened so fast. Yeah. And then when I came here, I was able to fail really fast, and it took me back to take a step back in my own training. Like, all right, what flaws do I have? Yeah. And that's helped me. And I don't consider winning being successful all the times, because you can have people who win and they just have more weapons to work with, or per se. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But that reflection time, you were able to have that success and then not have as much success, and you were able to reflect on that and really appreciate that success that you had and think about, how did I get to that point? How do I get back to that point?
Something that you'll laugh when I say, obviously every man who has a woman, my success, some of my best seasons, and I know for a fact the one season I had here that I adore the most was because of my wife. I got humbled, and I was worried about what other people were doing and training and things like that, and she humbled me like no other behind closed doors. Essentially called me a big giant female reproductive system, and grow up, a man up, but she put things in perspective, and when she said that to me, I was just like, of course I was like, just like a puppy dog, but no, behind every successful man is a lot of times is a woman.
Behind every successful man, chances are there's a better woman.
There is, and she pulled me, and that 2016 team I had, we overachieved and overcame and ended up winning. I hold that one above the national title because I grew and I was able to take a step back and like, all right, what am I doing wrong? I'm worried about what others are doing instead of working. And once I did that, that was huge. Kind of move on. you're into presidents and their leadership style. Obviously, I'm not wanting to get into the opinions of presidents. No, my wife says this all the time. You can't argue opinions. Whether it's politics or religion, opinions. No one wins an opinion argument. So I don't want to make it an opinion argument. But in your opinion of leadership styles, is there one leadership style that could be most effective with this generation of society?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
You touched on it earlier with the different scenarios.
I almost think that, if you look back at historically presidents and how they've, whether it be put their cabinets together or how they lead or decisions that they've made, you always look back, and I always go back to Lincoln because of the time period that he was president. He was president in a wartime president his entire tenure as president. Unfortunately, it ended shorter than it should have. But being able to surround yourself with the best people, and understanding that as a young person, whether you're transitioning from, you're just graduating college and going into a profession, and maybe you're in a leadership role or a CEO or whatever you're in, not being afraid to surround yourself with really, really good people that are going to challenge you.
Yeah.
To me, it is paramount.
That's why I married the woman I married. Right there.
And being able to, now, there has to be someone in charge, but at the same time, those people that might be challenging you are making you better.
Yeah.
They're making your business better. They're making your organization better. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So I guess I would say, if a leadership style that students, young people should really be thinking about, or that would be good for this generation, I would say is to be able to be comfortable in your own skin enough. And I don't know that this is obviously a specific style, but it goes along the lines of a democratic style of leadership.
Yeah.
Where you listen and you support, you get in the trenches, so to speak. That's one of my favorite words, trenches. And you're working hand in hand with the people and leading through example, sort of. So I would say not being able to take offense to people challenging you, and working with people that are maybe smarter than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And allowing them to be smarter than you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
For the betterment of the organization or the company or whatever you're working, or the job. To me, that makes the most sense, and that would be what I would encourage students to be gravitating towards, is surrounding yourself, as Lincoln did when he put together his first cabinet. Yeah. There was a lot of Democrats that he put in his cabinet. He was obviously a Whig, which is essentially the Republican Party. Yeah. Not going to go into history here, sorry. But surrounding yourself with the best people that you can surround yourself with to support you.
One, I love the word trenches too. It sounds like someone who don't mind getting their hands dirty and getting after it. Two, you touched on it. This generation, and I hate to sound like that boomer, as they'll meme it up, but this generation, a lot of individuals, and even older, I guess, adults, don't like to hear criticism that's constructive. Yeah. Personally, I'd rather someone say, "Hey, I don't like you." Okay, why don't you like me? Because of this, and this, and I could take a step back and think, okay, I respect that. Now you get to hear my rebuttal. Right. I'd rather have someone and respect someone that would do that than nothing at all, or undercut, or not do anything negative. The same thing with I think individuals, especially now, can't handle someone saying that wasn't very good. You're better than that. Yeah. Can you do this, and that? Yeah. And that's huge with leadership. Getting someone to say, hey, sometimes being told that wasn't good can be positive. Yes. As long as you follow it back with something that will show them, okay, how can you be better? Like these recordings, I have my wife listen to them, not as my wife, but just listen to it as a person. And what should I take out, or what didn't you like, or what, I'm just curious. Not that I want to be I'm my 16 subscribers. I'm not trying to not trying to go viral or anything, but I want to put out a product that if one person who watches it and says, you know what, I like that. Okay, cool. Yeah. That was for me, for her, I wanted feedback, tell me. And I think obviously athletics, you have the right staff behind you, My problem as a coach, and I recognize this, and I'm getting better at it, is not, and my wife, I both like this, is not delegating. Like, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
I'd rather just do it myself
same way.
and stop and not explain.
Yeah.
That's a huge flaw with me.
Yeah, it is.
And
same with me too.
And sometimes I feel if I give someone too much stuff, they'll think that I'm just giving it off to them, and I'm not trying to get my hands, or I'm not going to the trenches either. So that's always been a battle with me, and I've had to work through that at times. And there's sometimes I do really well at it, and then sometimes I have to check myself, even at my age.
Because if you do that, you're not helping.
I'm not helping them.
Exactly. A big part of being a leader and leadership is growing other leaders.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of it. And if you're not able to not only delegate, but also provide the folks that may be working under you or working with you leadership opportunities, they're not going to grow. They're not going to be happy. They're not going to stay working with you. It just doesn't work out as well.
No.
And you're really doing them a disservice by doing that. As difficult as it can be to do at times.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
I hear you. I'm a prime example of that.
Having a 2-staff system that we had, before Lizzie, I had trouble like, hey, and I know Doug and they were like, hey, Vince, you can just give something to them to do. And I'm like, I just do it myself, and I finally have gotten comfortable enough to where, so that's helped out.
It's difficult.
Got some quotes for you, what they mean to you, 2 of them. This one is my wife gave me this one. She likes this one. What's this mean to you? Complaining about a problem without posing a solution is called whining. Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt.
What's that mean to you?
That's a good one. It means to me, I always tell, and I've told many students this, be a problem solver, not a problem creator.
That's where I should listen to you sometimes on the road.
And it goes along with that, if you're going to bring, if there's issues, and I tell this to students through Student Senate too, when we have Student Senate meetings, there's going to be issues. Bring those issues to light. Let's explore them. Let's talk about them. But at the same time, let's come up with solutions before we go to the administration.
Misery loves company. It's easy to sit around and complain.
Yes,
and it actually causes more of a negative environment than it does to create, because you start creating a negative culture, a negative environment, and then that misery loves company. Everyone wants to one up their story. Like, I got a worse story than you, and then before you know it, you got nothing accomplished, and it just goes downhill.
And the problem is still there.
It is still there. It ain't going away. It ain't going away. The next one, nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power.
Wow.
Abraham Lincoln.
You did some research.
I did some research. I did.
That's my all-time favorite quote.
That's what was told.
Yeah, it's on the wall in my office. Every office I have from now until the end of time for me.
Forever sleep.
That will be on my wall. I just think that anytime that the ultimate, I guess, challenge for an individual is when you are given some sort of power.
Yeah.
Is what are you going to do with the power? Are you going to do good with the power? Are you going to use that influence and that power in a negative way? Because ultimately, if you have the ability and the power over whether it's individuals or a business or whatever, it's up to you to make those decisions. Now, you can get input from people and suggestions from people, but when it comes down to it, the decisions are being made by you.
Yeah.
And if you have that power, you have to be able to take that responsibility. And if you can handle that power and be able to make something good with that power and do good with that power and not let it go to your head, that's a big victory.
I've always felt the times I failed the most is I started drinking my own Kool-Aid. I started feeling myself a little too much, and because that's part of growing up. You have to not be afraid to mess up. And when you mess up, it goes back to, if you love someone at their best, you got to love them at their worst. Mm-hmm. You got to love them when they mess up, not when they're just winning and doing great things.
Yep. It's easy for everybody to be happy and joking around when you're 5-0.
Oh yeah.
Now it's a little more difficult when you're 1-4.
It's, for me, the hardest part is I have to tell runners, hey, if you run bad, and it's gotten better the older I have come, when you run bad, you might have done something good in that race. You might have ran for 5 miles. You might have ran 3 miles that were great. The last 2 just terrible. Don't let's focus on how good you ran for the 3.
Right.
What did we mess up with? Hope
Right.
no coaches use that. They're probably not watching anyways. But no. So I try to tell them let's not mull over how bad you ran. And I find this myself. We'll go to California or go to a meet, and they'll have 13 people racing. 12 out of 13 run great, and that one person runs bad. And I find myself focused on the one that ran bad. I feel that person's pain because I want 13 out of 13.
Right.
I know that's not realistic. So I'm hard on myself to feel like, where could I have done better? And sometimes you couldn't. It just, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So that's hard, and that's a life leadership style that I'm trying to learn as I go.
Yep. Exactly.
I know you're a big Yankees fan.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit some Yankee questions. What is there's a lot of memories for you. What is a flashbulb memory you have of the Yankees that stands out the most?
I would say for me personally, when I was actually at a Yankee game, a memory that stands out to me
Oh,
most.
wow. That's Cathedral, the whole...
Yeah, so is when I've been, obviously, the first time I saw old Yankee Stadium before the new stadium opened in 2009 was, for me, just incredible, just amazing. And I was lucky enough to be able to share it with my wife.
Yeah.
And I remember that vividly. I will never forget the first time I saw it. It was incredible to me. That same trip, the first time that we got to see Mariano Rivera come out of the bullpen, when we were, of course,
early when he was just an assassin and couldn't be touched.
We were, of course, in the upper deck, and I'm not kidding you. And there was 55,000 people there. I've never heard anything so loud in the upper deck was shaking. You could physically feel the upper deck shaking when he was running to the mound. To me, those two were just incredible in my mind. 1996, when they won the World Series, the first to end the drought.
Yeah.
Was a big one. I just saw that on TV, but I would say those 3 moments stand out in my mind. I'm
going to get to this a little bit. What was the year where it was who was it that hit the walk-off to knock out the Sox and to go in the World Series?
Aaron Boone.
Yeah, Aaron Boone.
Yeah, that was to win the pennant.
Yeah.
Sent to the Yankees to the World Series and beat the Red Sox to win the pennant that year.
Yeah.
That was insane. I can't imagine what it would have been like to actually physically have been there.
It kills me because I've been to the Royal Stadium and I've been down there. It's weird. It's a weird feeling. I can't describe it. Everything's on top of you, the noise. And I can't imagine, that's a Royal Stadium. I can't imagine the Yankees, that environment, because I love nostalgic things. I love looking back at where did it come from? Where did it begin? Yeah. And the Yankees, the Sox, those historical stadiums are amazing.
And I've been lucky enough to get to go to Fenway as well. We were really nervous about going to Boston and to Fenway. And I got to tell you, it's one of my favorite cities. Wonderful city. The people were nice. And we're walking around the city of Boston with Yankee shirts on.
Yeah.
Didn't get heckled.
Did they win or lose?
If I remember right, I think the Yankees won 2 out of 3.
Okay.
But, we're thinking, we had our niece with us.
Yeah.
And we were nervous. I was like, you're probably going to hear some words that you may not have. Honestly, the people in Boston were great. And even in the ballpark, they were great. And we obviously had Yankee stuff on, and we were rooting for the Yankees, and they were just giving us a hard time. And it was, I was pleasantly surprised by that.
What are your thoughts on the current state of the season in baseball?
Oh, boy,
it's hard.
It's been a weird summer.
2020 has been weird.
It's been weird.
It's been just a constant L.
To have a summer without baseball, in sports in general.
Yeah.
I'm a big horse racing fan. I watched all the 3 Triple Crown races, and they didn't happen. I love the Masters in April.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. And hopefully those happen this fall. But it's just been strange, and you hope that they can get it figured out, because baseball is missing a golden opportunity here by dragging their feet and airing their dirty laundry, and so to speak, with money, and they can't get together, and players don't want to take a pay cut, and owners don't want to give out more. They're missing an opportunity, missing the boat here. There's a lot of people that are unemployed right now, and from everything that's been going on, that would really like to be in their shoes, making 30 some million, 20 million a year, and it's difficult.
I see both sides. I see both sides of the coin. If you're a player that worked his way up through the A's, the Triple A, single A, all that, and you've got a spot and you sign this contract, I can see where you don't want to take a pay cut, or you worked your life to get that. Because what if something happens to me?
Right.
I can see that side of it. I also see the side of what you just said. It's a double-edged sword. It's a Pandora box, and it's tough.
There's really no good answer other than
it goes back to, you can argue both sides of the coin.
Yeah, you just hope that they get it figured out.
Yeah.
So and as weird as it will be with no people in the stands to watch a sporting event, I think that'll just be bizarre.
Hit the crack off the bat will be,
But at least you would have a sporting event, and I think it would help maybe bring people together a little bit again. I think we missed that part of sports.
Yeah.
The togetherness of it. And how, I think back to after 9/11 with how baseball
it was huge,
rejuvenated,
and that was New York versus New York.
Yeah.
Or was that the next year? It was Diamondback. Okay, yeah, you're right.
2000 was the Mets and Yankees.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
And
that ended very well for the Yankees. The Diamondbacks. We had the two-headed monster pitchers of the Diamondbacks.
Good. Yeah, Schilling and Randy Johnson. Yeah. But I just think back to how, and obviously that was different than this situation, but how that kind of united people.
It did. I do remember that.
Together. And I think sports play a big role in that, in bringing people together.
I was always a huge Barry Bonds fan. And I know the cloud but as a baseball player, just his skill set, it bugs me that he isn't in the Hall of Fame because of alleged, cheating.
Right.
But you know what? Right. How much did baseball profit off of that era? What about the era of not letting certain races into the league? What about the era of the amphetamine? What about it just goes with history that you have these eras. Yeah. They're eras. You accept them for what they are. I remember how Barry Bonds getting walked. His slugging percentage was insane.
Yeah.
They rather have bases loaded and walk someone in than face him. And so they're going to give up a run to walk him.
Yeah. Happened several times.
That was insane. When we have seen anything like that?
There were years where he had more intentional walks just himself than other teams.
The home run, Sammy Sosa and McGuire, that 98, that was huge for the baseball strike.
It was
huge
in 94.
Yeah, it was huge to get everyone back into it.
Yep. And like you said, baseball, the amount of money they made off of that is immense. I would assume would be immense.
Yeah.
And those guys were a big part of that.
It's like, now
now you're like, well, thanks, but
no, you can't.
Thanks.
You can't have the good, and you have to take it all in. You have to. So that always bugged me. I was like, it wasn't illegal when they were doing it.
Right. They didn't have a testing policy.
No.
There was no policy in Major League Baseball at that time. And baseball is a much more individualized sport compared to football.
Very much so.
Basketball or anything like that. It's much more individualized. So those personalities are a little bit more polarized and stand out more.
You see those personalities, like, so running, individual sport. Runners are, track athletes are different because they're focused on themselves.
Right.
Golf, focus on themselves. Tennis, focus on themselves. You get this. Baseball gets lumped into the team sport because it is your individual performance makes the team better.
Right.
You can affect it. Barry Bonds, he was, who was hitting behind Barry, who was hitting. You strategically put your people in certain spots. It's the same thing with Yankee. They had some of the lineups they had. You're just like, when do I get a break?
Right.
When is there going to come up so I can actually, get these guys out?
Exactly.
Yankees versus Red Sox.
Long games. I mean, they're some of the longest games you'll ever watch in your life. Just the history of it and how much that rivalry means to baseball.
Greatest rival, I think probably the greatest of all sports. To get all sports into effect, I think that's the greatest rival. The best. I don't say great. I hate saying greatest. I think that, to me, that's the best rival between two different teams.
Yeah, I would say the only thing I can think of that would come close to comparing it is Lakers Celtics.
Yeah, that's the next one. That was my next one.
I mean,
yeah,
I loved. I grew up on Lakers and Celtics in the finals.
Where they could design it. They can settle in the finals. Whereas if Yankees and Red Sox could settle in the finals,
yes,
that'd have been amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Derek Jeter's leadership,
consistent.
Yeah.
He's just consistent in every way.
It was almost like I wanted to dislike Jeter so much because he was such a great person. And he's like it's almost like you did everything correct.
Yep.
You did everything good. LeBron James reminds me because LeBron has had a focus since 18.
Yep.
Nothing's ever come out about LeBron.
Yep.
Same thing with Derek Jeter.
It's pretty amazing.
In this era we live in,
with social media and everything being filmed and pictures, and it's nothing short of amazing what Jeter and you're right about LeBron and many other guys, how they handle it. But with Jeter, the first thing that is just consistent on the field, consistent off the field, consistent personality, just he just was the epitome of what you would want in a professional athlete.
How he ended his career, fitting.
Very fitting.
Kind of like Kobe.
Yes.
This how they ended that career.
Very fitting. Yep.
Now, obviously, I feel like we're in a Netflix world. I feel like we're watching a Netflix episode of Earth. Like each episode's changed. Like, what's Earth have this month? But so did you see Screwball on Netflix?
No.
You got to check that out. It's about the A-Rod thing.
Really?
Yeah. It was really cool. They used kids to tell a story. It made it was like it made it kind of satire-y, but it was. You'll have to watch it. It's called Screwball.
But check that out.
A-Rod, what comes to mind?
A-Rod, honestly, I've growth as a person, as a human being. I don't know that. I look at him now, and I use my wife as an example. She was not an A-Rod fan. I was not an A-Rod fan when he was a player. Now she follows him on Instagram, and she's like interested in his businesses because I think he's grown as a human being. And hopefully, yes.
Yeah, at least in our eyes, he has.
It appears as if he has.
Yeah.
I don't obviously know him personally, but it appears as if he has.
Yeah.
And I really admire that. I admire a guy that's constantly, or not constantly, but has the ability to say, I screwed it up.
Of all the people that did PEDs, and I will say the fact that he's like, I did. Yeah. This is how he did it. I did it.
The world's going to be a lot more forgiving.
They will. It will.
Yeah. Andy Pettit's a prime example of that. He admitted it. He admitted, I was injured. I was trying to come back quicker.
Well, you play 164. Is it 4 games?
162.
162 games. And then you have the postseason.
It's tough.
It's a lot. That's a lot.
Yes.
It's not easy. And double headers, things like that. I do wish like Barry and that crew said, we were doing it. It wasn't legal. I mean, it wasn't illegal. We were trying to recover.
I really think I really think it would have benefited him.
But then
all those guys
with them lying under oath, that could have came back.
Changes things.
Yeah. Tell you what, Barry Bonds, the guy who kept going back to jail, that's a friend right there.
Yes,
that is a ride or die friend. That guy could have buried Barry, but talk about loyalty right there. That's the definition of loyalty. But no, would you have rather seen an undefeated NFL team in 2007 with the Patriots or the New York Giants winning the Super Bowl?
No, the Giants winning the Super Bowl.
Why is that?
Just because that's so difficult.
It is.
As a fan, I mean, you look at the Giants now and how they've struggled the last 4, 5, 6 years, and you think back to those championship years, and that seems so far away.
Eli,
you never know.
They could have blown the whistle dead on that play.
Yeah, they could have very easily. Probably should have, maybe. But gosh, I mean, what a win for a franchise. If you think about that, and the Patriots were so dominant. But for me, with the Giants being able to be there, you want them to win because you don't know when they're going to get back. And now is
2011 did it again.
Yeah.
Talk about Tom Coughlin. It's Tom Coughlin, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His leadership. He I know he's looks like a more authoritarian. It seems
he was able to adjust, and that made a big difference with that team in 2011. Yeah. He put together a leadership council of players that gave suggestions to him. he took that upon himself to create that leadership.
He's old school, so for him to do that was huge.
You look up old school in the dictionary, you see a picture of Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
I mean, he was as old school could be, but he was able, as a leader, in a position of authority, to be able to adjust his leadership style to better meet the group of athletes that he had, and to more, I guess, kind of update to the time period.
Yeah.
You know, and ultimately, they were successful. They won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
Because of those changes. Because if you listen to Strahan or any of those guys talk about that season, they'll say that the most important thing that happened that season was Coughlin changing things.
The Giants losing to the Patriots, was it week 16 or 15 of that year, was
last game of the season.
Was huge because they went to the same play back to back with Moss and caught him. You know, obviously Moss the talent. The Giants losing to them was huge. Being able to beat them in the Super Bowl, I had a feeling. I was like, they're going to probably end up beating the Patriots. You just had a feeling.
Yep.
And you figured a team out. You got them, and then obviously 11. Eli with the throws. The one where I don't know how he put that dime he dropped in 11, like the window he put it through.
It was amazing. To Manningham.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And then obviously the Patriots benefited from the bouncing of the ball later on in years. But that throw, he just chucked it up in the air, and it was almost like that game you played when you're little where you're like 500 and you yell a point total out. And the fact that the odds of a ball pinning to a helmet, I mean, how many times you just bat it down? That's
amazing.
That right there, when that happened, you're like,
it was crazy.
They're gonna lose. I guess Patriots benefited twice with the bouncing off the shoe and then the interception that the guy jumped the route. So and I love Bill Belichick. I love those coaches. You love seeing greatness like that. You look at that, you're like, wow,
sustained greatness.
Yes,
that's how.
Not a one hit.
That's the impressive thing to me, is that how long they've been able to sustain it.
Yeah.
In professional sports nowadays, to be able to sustain success for that long, you're doing something right.
I know that the whole LeBron, the greatest. I feel like you need to just appreciate the eras. LeBron getting to how many finals in a row?
8.
It's impressive.
That's
it's huge. No wonder he wanted to have game management.
Yeah.
He wanted to take days off. Of course,
8 finals in a row.
So
think about that.
It's huge. You're not going to see that a lot. Not this era with free agencies and everything. Kind of moving on. Another one. Greatest LA Laker.
Wow. Hello.
That's tough.
I grew up a big Magic Johnson fan, obviously. Who wasn't a Magic Johnson fan in the 80s? But I would tell you who I think is the most unheralded Laker, Michael Cooper.
Oh, I had a fun story.
Cooper?
My dad, the reason I got into a big Raiders fan was my dad moved to Redondo Beach, California, and lived, and I'd fly out there for a week, and we'd stay with him in Redondo Beach. We went to this court that was nearby, and we'd play a pickup game. Michael Cooper and his children came up.
No kidding.
I played pickup ball with Michael
kidding.
Cooper. Yeah,
wow.
Hit the game-winning shot. Probably closed my eyes and threw it, but no, Michael Cooper. We didn't ask for autograph, but I didn't know who Michael Cooper was at the time, but my dad was like, that's Michael Cooper. We would see where we were living at. We would see stars a lot, and I saw Ernie Hudson in the line with Ernie Hudson.
Wow.
Ghostbusters. But no, Michael Cooper and I was on his team and dished it, and
That's cool.
Obviously I was too young to really appreciate it. Now I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I would say, if you think about those teams with Magic and Kareem and Worthy and all those guys, Cooper was always the guy that played the defense, was able to handle the ball, make the passes, all of the glue stuff,
the glue guy,
all of the stuff that kind of got overlooked but was so important in those 80s championship teams. I would say he's the most unheralded, but I always admired James Worthy, out of North Carolina and fit in really well with all those big personalities. You never heard anything.
He didn't have a big personality.
No.
I mean, and it's probably, maybe Jordan humbled him maybe in college.
Could have.
Or he, just that was his personality. But James Worthy was under the radar kind of guy.
Yeah, he just kind of fit in.
Yeah.
But he was such an important part of those championship teams.
I became a huge Kobe fan after I watched him at the 2012 Olympics and how humbling he was to watch the other sports.
Yeah.
He was at the track meets, he was at the swim meets.
Right. His influence and his voice for the WNBA,
Yes.
not only because he had a daughter that would have been obviously a really good basketball player
Yeah.
and would have brought a lot of attention to the league, but Kobe himself would have been able to bring a lot of attention to the WNBA
Yeah.
and really help that league and grow. I
Yeah.
think, and I could see him as a commissioner,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, and in that type of role. I don't know if he would wanted to have done that or not, obviously, but for him to I just think that it could have been a big time help for that league and to kind of bring it more to prominence.
Next one. Will the Clippers ever be accepted in LA? Yeah, that's.
That's a great question.
I like. Why don't you just move? Just move. Call a different name.
The first thing they need to do is they need to get their own arena.
Yeah,
That's the first thing they
that
need to
always
do.
kills me. Like you're just gonna put a cloth over the retired jersey. That doesn't make any sense.
But I think they have an owner now.
Yes, it's not racist.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
First of all, but he's got more money than. I mean,
It's always that's always a bad problem to have. You have more.
Incredibly wealthy guy. They're probably I don't. It's always going to be a Laker city.
Yeah, it's like the Mets and Yankees. Like it's never
just
gonna.
the way it
It is gonna be. It's what the Mets, Yankees. You have White Sox, Cubs.
Same deal.
Yeah, you're just you know what? You're just the little brother. Just hair. Sorry, you get the hand-me-down shirt.
Right.
You get the old shoes.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
Got a couple YouTube questions sent in.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
The first two they're anonymous. They want to say anonymous.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. First one, Rebecca B. Asked this one. It's a hit and run question.
That's an anonymous.
Yeah, very anonymous. If you were trapped in a foxhole and could only have one person in it with you to help you get out, who would you want that to be?
Great question. Only one. Interestingly, I'm going to exclude my wife from the question, from the answer.
That's like you're like, I don't get in trouble, so I'm going to make a public service announcement.
Because that would be my first choice.
Hear that, Rebecca?
Tremendous amount of respect for her, obviously. But if I had to choose one to get me out of a foxhole, I would probably choose my brother,
Okay.
Randy, just because of, and no disrespect to my dad or anybody else, but just because of his resourcefulness and his ability to be creative. And I would answer that question by saying my brother.
Is he a nature guy? Do you make
Yeah.
fire? Okay, you want a guy who can do fire, like that stuff. Like
he can
I,
do anything like that. He's an outdoors dude.
yeah, I would have
Just
like
a
that
big old,
naked and freight thing. I wouldn't
know,
last. Like my
yeah,
wife and I both
yeah.
were like, I'm a tapping out. I couldn't make a
just
fire.
a rough and tumble
Yeah.
dude that I could get behind. And
Yeah.
He could lead me out of there.
I'll pick up as many twigs and sticks as you need. I will
Yeah.
throw as many rocks as you need. What do you need me to do?
Exactly.
Yeah. So next one is from Clint's Toy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about
Yeah,
that
that-
and see who that is.
Yeah. You have to hire one, fire one, and let one live in your basement. Hey, you have to hire one,
great.
fire one, and let one live in your basement. Joe Torre, Derek Jeter, and Jorge Posada.
If I had to hire one, Joe Torre.
Okay.
Fire one, Jorge Posada. No offense, Jorge Posada. Great baseball
I'm sure
catcher.
I'm sure he won't. He'll be okay. He'll be
Yeah.
okay.
And what was the third? I'm sorry.
Let one live in your basement.
Who wouldn't want the captain living in the basement?
Right. No, easily.
Derek Jeter.
Easily.
I mean, the wisdom that you could glean from him, and what's it like to be what you were in New York City?
There's not very many people that are larger than a city like New York.
He was.
Yeah. There's that meme where the kid with the respect. I mean, you made a hat with, Now, do Yankees, they retire jerseys?
They have more retired jerseys than any other team.
Okay,
in
that's
baseball.
what I was trying to think which one that, I forgot what organization that did not.
Think of all of the people that looked up to Jeter.
Yeah.
All the kids.
Endless.
All the adults.
Endless.
And dealing with that. That's one question. So if I was to interview him, one of the first questions after I picked myself up off the floor in shock and got over myself and figured that part out, I would say, what's it? How much pressure? What's it feel like to have all of those people
All that power.
look up power? Exactly.
Yeah, all that power,
Look
and
up to you.
still did right by.
Yeah.
Almost did right by
how did
everyone.
You do that?
Yeah.
What mistakes did you make along the way? How did you do it? How did you deal with that? Process that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear his answer to that question.
That would be
What a leadership opportunity that is.
Yeah.
Those are some great YouTube questions there.
We got one last one.
Oh, great.
This one is not anonymous. It's from Jeremy McGinnis,
Oh, yeah.
women's soccer.
He's a friend of the show.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Episode one. He's one of the private subscribers, one of the 16 subscribers. 2 of them are my wife and mine. So, we're making big numbers here. What was the dirtiest room story? It's kind of a 2-part question. First one is, what was the dirtiest room story? And the next one is the most asinine dorm question ever asked.
So the dirtiest room that I'd ever been in.
You can leave names out of this.
Yeah, I won't mention names. But and I've been in many of them, let me tell you. But the worst one was an individual that lived in Horton Hall and happened to be an employee. And I won't say what year it was. It's been several years ago.
Let's start researching.
And that was the worst one I'd ever been in.
Do I know him?
I'm not gonna expand any more than that. I'm just saying that it was rough.
I have an idea.
It was challenging. It was just rough.
Was there a lot of pots and pans that got thrown away?
Nice.
Yeah, well played. Well, too soon?
Played.
Too soon? No, never too soon.
But I would say that was the worst one. I opened the door, looked in, and closed the door.
It's like the Homer Simpson meme where you just backed out into the bushes.
But I mean, that's to each their own.
Yeah.
To each their own. It is what it is. So the
most asinine dorm question ever asked.
Most asinine dorm.
I had to change the word.
Ever asked. Sometimes you'll have students ask that I guess 21-year-olds that live on our campus.
Yeah.
Obviously it's legal for them to drink, and they'll ask me, well, why I'm 21, why do I get an alcohol violation?
Yeah, I could see that.
That's a question I get.
There's policy that's in it. It's a policy
I'm like, dude,
handbook.
it doesn't matter if you're 21, 31, 41, 51, or 61.
Yeah.
It's a dry campus. You can't have alcohol on the campus.
I can see that.
So that's one of them.
Yeah.
That I've been asked. I'm like, does it specify in the handbook? Oh, if you're 21, you're exempt from this.
Yeah, that's going to open up a box of just unwanted. You're going to get called at night, and there's going to be another story of, Bilderback, you come on to the campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, this is actually, I'm very appreciative.
Hey, absolutely.
This was great. We got a lot of good stuff. I'm excited to hear it and listen to it. And I don't a whole lot of editing going on, but I appreciate you, and I look forward to having you on again. I think you're somebody that I know within my, I don't want to say inner circle, I don't have much of a circle, but when I said that I got you to come on, they're like, "Oh, that's gonna be good." Will you talk? And I'm like, "Yeah, he's got more of a sense of humor than you think." I always felt like I would be your anger translator, or what the things you really want to say, but you're the angel.
Yeah.
You weren't going to say. I felt like I could fill the blanks and say it for you and take that, away from you. So you want to have to reap the.
I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a lot of fun, and I've always had an immense amount of respect for you, and
appreciate it.
I think the thing that I respect about you most is the quality of kids that you bring on our campus. And what you expect out of those kids, behavior-wise, and in the classroom, and I've always respected the kids that you've brought on our campus, and how your work ethic is immense, and I've just always admired that about you. So
I appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity to visit.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Bet.